So I'm gonna try and get a little more serious, I guess. We're back on track with the kind of videos I should be making. Uh, Political or ones that aren't just about stupid personal shit that I kind of almost don't want anyone to watch, but I feel like if that there's some people that have an interest in that, maybe. I don't know. I know there's a lot of like people who followed me for weird random reasons, not just political ones. Um, but anyway, um, I have been, as I've talked about a couple times, kind of on the verge of like basically leaving activism. It's one of those things where, well, I mean, I know I can go back to it anytime or whatever, but I my interest is so low in it, and I feel like I'm not really doing any good, especially here in Toledo. There's people that are doing better work than I am or ever have. Um, so I really I have to question my own validity in anything, and then the fact that I've kind of been excommunicated from by certain subsections of the activist community or whatever doesn't help. It makes things really difficult. I have this friend who's trying to get me involved in the ISO, the International Socialist Organization. They've been trying to recruit me for I don't know, 3 years or so, like pretty much since I came out. Um, I organized like a march with the leader of the ISO here, the chapter that's here, um, and ever since he's been on me to join. And I mean, it's not that they're good people, and I'll go support whatever they do, but I disagree with a lot of their shit. I disagree with the way they just make decisions. I disagree with I'm an anarchist. I'm not a socialist. I'm an anarchist for a reason. Um, so I have a problem with their decision making process. I have a problem with that their chosen places to organize, which is mainly amongst students and unions, both of which I feel kind of alienated by. Like, I know absolutely nothing about unions or organizing with unions. I've never been in a union. I don't know shit about it. Um, I also don't really know shit about student organizing. I mean, I've never had the university experience or whatever. Um, and to me, it's like a really privileged thing. Like I see it, especially when I go. I was at UT's campus last night for a students for justice in Palestine meeting. I'm gonna do some kind of apartheid wall next week, um, on campus or whatever. Um, and there's been this arson at a mosque here in Toledo within the past week or two. So I don't know. I feel bad. I want to show solidarity, right? That hey, I'm a person that thinks I'm a community member that thinks you're all right here, more or less. But that's something where there's a lot of cultural homophobia, and I'm kind of apprehensive to walk into just stroll in to places like that when they're trying to organize, do their own stuff or whatever. I mean, there's definitely it becomes difficult to talk about. It becomes difficult to talk about because it's tough to talk about cultural homophobia within certain communities without at least appearing or sounding racist. But it's a reality. I mean, it's a fact. And I don't entirely think that I'm unjustified in being really apprehensive in entering environments like that. Especially when most of the harassment I've experienced has been from men of color, especially black men. So I mean, and that's just my experience. That's not anything skewed or anything like that. And it's like, well, why would you notice? What does the race of the person that's harassing you matter? How can you not notice it? Especially in the neighborhoods I've lived in, the method of harassment is descended directly from modern black culture. You know what I mean? So like, you know, you can't think about the two as being independently from one another. They're directly related, and I don't know. I feel really weird when I go into certain settings, like especially any kind of setting, like where it's primarily for a certain ethnic group or whatever, or religious group or whatever. Especially religious groups, I think like that's what gets me because like that like to me that's where it starts. I mean, it's religion. It's where like people learn hatred from really any age, right? Right? I mean, it was popular way anyway. Um, so I don't really, like again, it gets weird. Like people don't like, especially my cis white activist friends, don't seem to. They don't seem to understand that. And no matter how much I say it, like they'll just invite me to these things thinking that, oh, well, I'll just stroll in there just like they do, and it'll all be like, yeah. Well, I don't know that. I don't know from the get that it'll be like that for me. I mean, you're a cis white woman. I'm a trans white woman. That's a lot different. Especially like I'm not exactly like passable. Like if I know that I could blend in and not fucking worry, but I get clocked all the time, whether it's because of my voice or like what. Usually because of my voice. Um, which whatever, I'm sure that much, or else I'd work harder to change it. Um, I don't mind kind of outing myself, but it's when I like feel like I'm forced to out myself, and then I subject myself to the judgment of everyone in the room. I mean, this is kind of part of the